Would you believe if I will tell you now that all the forests in the world are no older than 200 years? Well, that's quite unbelievable. But let's dive in a little bit down the rabbit hole and see what we can find. This is interesting how one topic leads to another. This time I came across some information about the Siberian Taiga forest. Apparently, the age of the Siberian forest is estimated to be around or under 200 years. This is somewhat bizarre because the Siberian region was, for the most part, an uncharted territory well into the early stages of the 20th century. The lifetime of the Siberian pine can reach up to 850 years. There are plenty of other trees out there whose lifespan is around 500, 600 years. Yet the Siberian forests are estimated to be approximately 200 years old. This is explained by major wildfires happening from time to time. Of course, this Wikipedia tells us. Periodic stand replacing wildfires with return times of between 20 to 200 years clear out the tree canopies, allowing sunlight to invigorate new growth on the forest floor. The above explanation is very convenient for some areas, but cannot account for the entire Siberian region. With an area of 13.1 million square kilometers, Siberia accounts for 77% of Russia's land area, but it is home to just 40 million people, 27% of the country's population. I do not think that total human-infused deforestation of such a vast region was possible in the 19th or early 20th century. Demographic data simply does not support it. As it was mentioned above, current population of Siberia is approximately 40 million people. You can reference geography of Siberia to see that there were barely any people out there. Also, I think this issue of 200-year-old trees will encompass way more than just Russian Siberia. A fairly good portion of the northern hemisphere above, approximately the 40th parallel north, could be affected. That I will try to elaborate on later in this article. First thing, we need to understand that areas keen to California redwood forests, Oregon Redwoods Trail, and Quinault Rainforest Valley on the Olympic Peninsula area are rare exceptions. Let's have a look on some of it. Quite huge. Well, that's really huge. Wouldn't you say? There is probably a reason why the above are located within the same coastal vicinity anyways. Have a look on it. Also, we do have some old trees in various locations, but those are single occurrences and usually have some sort of commemorative plaque next to them. To gain some sort of an understanding of how old a tree is, I would like to recommend this tree age calculator. It might surprise you when you plug in the tree data on your local big tree. It just might be that it is only 75 years old. Well, let's get back to the Siberian issue. We will start with the 1908 Tunguska Meteorite. The event itself is not in question here. Mind that there was no known commercial or any other type of lodging activity conducted in this remote area. We will simply inspect some damages to the surrounding vegetation. Now, what is all this? Can someone say it? It can be clearly seen in the above photos that the trees in the area were fairly young in 1908. Their size uniformity indicates that they were of approximately the same age. No huge old trees can be seen. You are welcome to Google check for yourself. Now let us look at some of the photos of the Siberian region attributed to the early 20th and late 19th centuries. There's quite a lot of them. Let's go through that. In the above photos is Russian taiga, approximately 120 years ago. Just below are the photos of the same vicinity, but taken recently. It is estimated that an average age of the forests in Siberia is just under 200 years old. So what is all that then? Below you can see a tree life expectancy table. I Google translated, but I do not see those 500-year-old forests in the picture above. And there can be none, because there were very young trees in Siberia in the beginning of the 20th century. If you want to see what a 500-year-old tree looks like, there they are, links in the description of the video. All stand alone. They are rare and protected. While natural explanations like fires and lodging are plausible enough, it is also naive to think that all the woods recycle themselves one way or the other. Of course, for the lack of a better explanation, we have to accept the fire and lodging theory. Bizarre fire breaks. And then you have these bizarre fire break type perpendicular lines cut through different chunks of wilderness. And those lines do not care whether they go through a river or over a hill. They just stay straight and perpendicular to each other. I have no clue what kind of technology was used to line those up. How do you cut those through the Siberian forest, and what for? The area below is 10 on 12 miles, but there are tons of those. One of the images has grid lines in case you want to find it on your Google Earth. See for yourself. There is one place in Europe where multiple old trees were located. Of course, our scientists assigned them a non-surprising age of 8 million years old. Yes, this is supposedly the age of the stumps you can see below. They were dug out from under feet of sand and dirt in Hungary. Non-fossilized, but yet they are supposed to be dinosaur old. This way, the first floors of the buildings in this article also have to be 8 million years old. The mud flood, dirt rain, and the story of the bird buildings stones. Jokes aside, I think that a very similar mud flood event caused the death of these trees. Then I googled for some pictures of Washington State along the I-90 corridor west of Snoqualmie. Let's have a look on it. But guess what? They're not over 200 years old either. Using the same tree age calculator, they might be close to a certain degree. I did see some bigger trees out when hiking, but they are very rare and hardly reach 300 years old. The mass is definitely within 200 years. Surely no lodging was done there 200 years ago. There could be none in 1820s. Once again, there are some old trees, but there is no forest of old trees. If you go up higher to the Rainer National Park, you can see some huge Douglas fir trees at the Grove of Patriarchs. The area is snow-free June through October, and the elevation is 2,200 feet. Some of the firs are claimed to be thousands of years old, but the area where they grow is very small. It proves that old trees used to be in the area. A few survived, and the rest did not. The uniformity of the other all over the place forests suggests that a much younger age. Considering that the lifespan of the majority of the evergreen is pushing 650, 900 years, this is bizarre. Of course, if you do not consider another bizarre fact, the map shenanigans of the North American continent. Below, I display several iterations of North Americas presented by our ancestors. Watch the progression from one map to the next. Time makes a huge difference. We have American continent here. Again, a lot of cities, a lot of detail. We have it here, and here again. But here starts to disappear some of it. Nothing here much on the north side. Here is nothing. Land incognito, nothing here. Comes back again, little by little, in more recent years. It appears that a very long time ago, in the 16th century, there was a specific understanding of the outline of the North American continent. But then something happened and the area became terra incognita. With time it was rediscovered and thus it reappeared on the map, this time with a differently looking outline. Could this be an event related to the other weird geographical and urban transformations like the emergence of Sahara Desert and burial of the buildings? Maybe it could. Is it possible this event destroyed huge tree masses in the northern hemisphere? I think it is. By the way, do you have old forests with 500 plus year old trees in your area? Forests and not single trees. Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for your time. Make sure you hit that like button. This really helps to bring these videos to more people that are asking questions.